One Chicago author is using her craft to inspire diversity, equity, and inclusion with her new book, Mama Why.
It's a comic book about a young boy who becomes an advocate for change in his community after losing friends to gun violence. It's all part of a mission to educate and encourage future generations to build strong communities. Dr. Veronica Appleton joins us with more. Welcome, Dr. Appleton.
Hi.
Okay, so you have a strong background in education and also in DEI as well. So tell us, did that feed into why you decided, I've got to become a children's author?
I've always envisioned myself as a storyteller, whether it's telling the stories of those that are looking for a job in the industry, or whether those that are learning to educate and how we can learn more about intercultural communication. So whatever role that I've had in life, it's really equipped me to create stories that can convey how important it is for children to learn about certain topics like gun violence, like cyberbullying, like social emotional learning, and things that really resonate with the parents, the guardians in their household, but also how they can resonate with creating a more inclusive world, which is through many of the stories that I've created.
And especially this latest one, Mama Why. You said there's already places reaching out to you saying they want to add this to their, whether it be a library or school, whatever it may be. Why do you think it's really resonating with people?
I think what's super important about Mama Why or any of the other books that I've created, there's lessons about how to create inclusion in the world, how to create diverse communities and to feel connected with the people that you live nearby or that you go to school with or that you play with. And so specifically with the schools that are getting ready to adopt this comic book, they want to learn about those topics related to gun violence, related to all these forms of bullying, because it's not limited to violence. It's not limited to any of those things. The book is dedicated to all children and families that have experienced or have been affected by violence. That could be any type of violence. And so the discussion guide, the tips that are in the back of the book, and even some of the nonprofits that I love and I adore, those are the things that get to celebrate and within the comic book, but also children, their parents, guardians, they're able to engage in a discussion with some of the questions in the back of the book as well.
I mean, a truly tough topic, but unfortunately one of reality for many. And the thing that's interesting about Mama Why is it's a comic book. So we feel like, compared to Journey to Appleville and Tutu Goes to School, I feel like maybe it can be a little bit of an older audience as well.
That's right.
So why did you say, okay, I've got to do a comic book?
Yeah, so there's a nonprofit that's called One Aim Illinois, and they survey and they take tons of research and they tell those stories. And as of last year, over 180 children and teens, they died from gun violence. And so it's important for us to know those types of stats. And so when we talk about comic book and creating something that could resonate with children of all ages, adults of all ages, when we think about the generational differences, it's important to create something that people can see themselves in. And that's what I wanted to develop. I have to also say that I have not been able to complete this work without the amazing creative team, because it takes a team to do really, really great work. The topic is important, but also the work behind it has been important. And so with the full creative team, they inspired me, I inspired them to create different scenes that would really call to action the reality of children that live in communities, that families that live in communities where they experience these things every single day. And so I wanted to create something as a tribute to that, but then also as a Black woman that has grown up on the south side of Chicago to now a professional woman in the real world, where we also have to create things that can serve as a catalyst for change.
And if there's anyone watching who has been impacted by any form of violence, I know you said there's some topics in the back too to help people at the end. What would be your one word of advice to people going through something like this?
One word I would say is education. I think I don't take this lightly, and I know that a lot of people in our very own city, our state, they do not take this topic lightly. And I think for anyone that may be new to this topic, for any sort of reason that they are new, I highly encourage them to educate the children in their lives, also the humans in their lives in any sort of way, because it is important for us to notice the difference in how our children are reading, how they consume information, how they contribute to their own community. Those are the things that are important, but also what they'll find in Mama Y.
And it's
Love
such an
that.
easy way to ingest it as a child, too,
Yes.
in that format. Very
Yeah.
neat. Thank you so much for being here,
Thank
Dr.
you so
Appleton. We
much.
appreciate it. You can actually catch the Mama Y book signing, another one here at Barnes & Noble. It's going to be in Lincoln Park this Saturday, August 24th. For tickets and more information, just head to mamawhybook.com. You can also find Veronica on Instagram.
Yeah, thanks, Veronica. You're a superhero to us, so thank you so much.